Dear Zonta friends, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. This little event is meant to be a big thank you. A big thank you to you all for all that you have accomplished during this biennium. It has been a good Zonta tradition that in the convention years, just on the day before the convention is opened, that the president invites the top leaders of the organization to a dinner. Well, when we realized that we would not have a convention this year, I thought we need to replace this tradition with a virtual event. And that is why we are here now. And thank you all for joining in. This biennium has been remarkable in many ways and exceptional, even without COVID. It was a biennium where we had opportunities we probably had never before in such a way. We had opportunities to think back, to remind ourselves of the history of Zonta, and to be aware that we stand on the shoulders of many great Zontians that were active before us. And we had an opportunity to create awareness and visibility for our causes. And I know you seized these opportunities, all of them, internally and externally. On top of what usually a governor has to do, a board member, a committee chairman, committee member, a risk manager, or a parliamentarian, a special advisor, our headquarters staff. On top of all that, we had special tasks this biennium. There were the Zonta, of course, centennial anniversary events, sometimes in connection with the district conferences. We had 62 centennial anniversary grants dispersed to do local service. We had 27 districts and 27 Zonta countries recognize outstanding people who did a lot for gender equality, and give them awards, broadened our network and everything. We had a new pilot, a new scholarship that was Women in Technology, something 30 districts participated in. I think that's outstanding. And think of our centennial anniversary endowment campaign. At the end of May this year, we had a sum of 5.9 million, which is 210% growth since the inception of the campaign in 2014. So thank you all so much. You have all contributed to these successes and you can be proud of them. And today is a day you really should be proud of them. At this point of our little event, I would like you to meet a wonderful young woman.
Hello everyone, my name is Anke Pan and I am a concert pianist from Germany. Susanne and I planned this very exclusive little concert for you today for this very special event. And I thought I would start with a piece by famous composer Ludwig van Beethoven to celebrate his 250th anniversary this year. So I will start with the first movement of the Grand Sonate Pathétique. I hope you'll enjoy.
That was Anke Pan and the first movement of Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata. I want to introduce Anke a little bit to you. She said, and you heard that, she's a pianist, and she is a really accomplished artist. 10 years ago, she was the youngest competitor ever at the Chopin competition in Warsaw. And she told me a few minutes ago that she has been accepted to be in 2021's Chopin competition in Warsaw again. That's wonderful. She has been awarded many international prizes and is can be heard in many concert halls in the entire world. I wanted to tell you very briefly how I met Anke. And it is very special to mention that because it was through my Zonta mentor and good Zonta friend, Irene Wiese von Ofen. So many things happen, we all know that, through Zonta. And this was a wonderful serendipity when I shared with Irene what I had in mind. And Irene had already acquainted me with Anke's playing some months ago when Anke played a concert on Easter, Sunday or Monday, I don't remember it, which I watched also as a stream, or it was a recorded session, and it impressed me so much. So, and I'm so glad that she accepted to play for us and for you tonight, my time in Düsseldorf. And with that, I'm absolutely happy that Anke is here with me today. Anke, I want to thank you. Thank you so much again. You performed miraculously, and you touched our hearts with your wonderful playing. So, how come we chose Beethoven?
Well, that was, at first that was quite an obvious choice for me because this year is actually the Beethoven year for us musicians. It would have been Beethoven's 250th anniversary, and actually we were expecting a year full of Beethoven's music in each concert hall and everywhere to listen to, and we were all quite disappointed to find out that this wasn't going to be a possibility. And and I mean, I guess I can speak for all the musicians now. We are quite sad not being able to perform at the moment, not in usual ways anyway. And that makes me even more thankful for events like this one, which I was so excited and happy about. Thank you so much for inviting me to join this. This is beautiful in a whole other way, and reading all your comments and seeing that the music brings joy to you really makes up for everything. So thank you to all of you so much. And Beethoven has another very special place in my heart because as many of you may know, Beethoven is very famous for being one of the best German composers of all time, who gifted us with so much music. And not only did he write exceptional music, he basically just invented piano music in a whole new way, and that's so very special to me because without him we wouldn't have music as we have it nowadays. And particularly this Sonata Pathetique, he wrote this when he was starting to accept that he was going to be deaf one day. He was around 27 back then, and he realized he couldn't hear like he used to, and he was starting to lose all his hearing, and it was very awful to him, and it's the worst thing that can happen to a musician, obviously. So he started to compose this piece, and there was a very special quote that went with this piece, which basically said that he will never stop fighting for his fate, even though there will be days where he will feel like one of God's saddest children. something like that. It's a German quote, so I roughly translated it. But yeah, this always made a very huge impression on me. This piece is so beautiful and so amazing, and he gave that to humankind, even though he was losing what was dearest to him.
Well, yes. Well said. And you mentioned that he was an innovative guy, and he broke several rules.
Yes.
And exactly by breaking these rules, he here provided us with an hearing experience that is unprecedented.
Yes, definitely. This is a turning point. This sonata is a turning point for Beethoven, because if you know Beethoven's early music, you will realize that he sounds a little bit like Mozart sometimes, because that was just Vienna classical style. That's what composers were supposed to sound like back then, right? But these years turned out for him to be those years where he would really find his new style, and he stopped caring what people wanted him to do and started to invent new things. He invented new music, new forms, and that's what makes him so rebellious. And that's why people nowadays look back and say, yes, Beethoven was definitely a rebel in his days, and that's what made him so innovative and creative.
And for Zonta, it is always nice to have something innovative and creative. It is a good, nice connection to what we want to do today. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think so as well, because this is probably kind of what Zonta does nowadays too, and that's what I admire so much. And this is actually why I brought a piece from a second composer, a very famous one, who also was a big inventor, a wonderful, innovative composer for his age, and that is Frédéric Chopin. He's one of my personal favorites as well, because Chopin just all he did all his life was write piano music. He never really wrote a lot for other instruments, so the piano was clearly his favorite as well. And that's why he tried to discover new ways for the piano. And one piece that he wrote, which is very special, very revolutionary for his time, is the second scherzo, which I will play for you.
B-flat minor.
B-flat minor.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it's so special and never heard before is that before Chopin started to write scherzi, the form of scherzo was completely different. You might find a short scherzo within a symphony or maybe within a sonata, but not as a solo piano piece of quite some length and in a more ballad-like form. So he made the scherzo and made it a solo piece, and it stands for itself. It's incredibly brilliant, and it's virtuoso. It's written in a very fast tempo, but of course it wouldn't be what it is. I mean, Chopin wouldn't be who he would be if he didn't bring his personal style into this. And Chopin's style is always just beautiful and very, very heartwarming, because it's always full of cantabile melodies, which are just some of the most beautiful melodies in the world, I think, and yet still connected by all the wildness of the dramatic scherzo in it.
Well, I think we listen to it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anke. That was beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for making us such a wonderful gift.
Thank you for listening. That means so much to me now that I'm finally experiencing concert atmosphere again.
Yes, it is a very special kind to experience it. I watched a little bit the chats, messages that were coming in, and my friends, they all loved it. And at this point, I want to say, everybody who wants maybe to put a question or further comment, and especially a question, is very welcome to do so.
Yes.
That's correct?
Yes,
Anke?
absolutely.
So
I was so caught up in talking about music
Yes.
earlier that I forgot to mention, please, if you have any questions for us or anything you'd like to say at all, we love to read about it in the chat, and just ask away. Just ask us anything you would like about music, about,
yes.
well, yeah, whatever you like.
Yeah, and we can see this. We have a little screen here that shows us what is coming in with a little delay, but that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, Anke, this scherzo was, as you said, an innovative piece.
Yes.
And something, had it some influence on I mean, the creative work of Chopin after that?
Yes, definitely. You have to imagine back then people would basically, all the composers and poets and writers, they would come together in maybe kind of a club. I don't think they would call it a club, but they came together, maybe very much like you would do. And they did all these amazing things. They talked about their music, they inspired each other, and that's when Chopin, Liszt, and everyone else was just in a room together. And yeah, Chopin wrote these pieces and everyone reacted to them, you know. They were maybe not as international as we can be nowadays, but they did their very best. So this scherzo definitely influenced a lot of other composers.
I have a question. I saw one,
Ah,
Anke,
yes.
while you were speaking. So when did you start playing? I mean,
Oh,
I know it, but you can,
Yes,
you can
yes.
share it probably.
I started playing the piano when I was so little that I can basically not remember it all. But my mom told me the story so often that I feel like I remember it. I think I was 3 years old, and one of my best friends started to play the piano. She was 6, and I was looking up to her, admiring her, and so since she was allowed to play the piano, I wanted to as well. And now my mom did something which I am actually very thankful for, and I think that's a great thing for a mom to do. She said, it's too early, don't rush into this, you know. And she was never like those moms who had to push and tell their kids, you know, do something to create success in something. She was not like that. She just, you know, wanted me to find my own way in time. And so I was finally allowed to learn the piano when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I met my very first teacher, who was a wonderful influence for me, and I was very, very lucky to have him. It's great for a kid to have a very good first teacher. I would say it's probably the most important thing when you're a kid. So yes, that's how I started back then, and yeah, I have never really wanted to be anything else than a pianist, actually. From all the way back
Although
then.
you have quite a few other talents as well.
Yes, there are a lot of other things I love to do. I used to dance a lot. I did a lot of ballet, really up to a point where I had to decide one day if I want to do ballet dancing as a profession or if I want to be a pianist. Well, I quickly decided for pianist, but sometimes I still wish I could still dance. And well, yeah, I love all kinds of arts, actually. I love writing, I love baking, and well, yeah, and I love painting a lot. That's something I do whenever I have time.
Yeah. So let's check here. Is there anything else that we could?
Oh, everyone is being so kind.
Everyone
That
is being so
sweet.
kind. Yes. I mean, that's
Thank
what
you
it
so
was
much.
meant to be.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Yes, well, this is so wonderful to read all of that. This is something you can't even do in a normal concert. Usually if you play, you can't really communicate with people afterwards, which is actually a pity. I mean, you hear the applause and that's very heartwarming, but to read what people actually think is something next level. That's so wonderful.
so I guess we made the best of the situation that we
I
could
hope
not
so,
that we could
yes.
not have or meet live with all the Zontians.
Yeah.
So, but we meet it here now virtually, and that was good.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm reading another question there. Someone's
Yes.
asking, who's your favorite composer?
Oh yeah,
That's a
Good
very
one.
good question
Yeah.
as well. And I would say every pianist will have a very hard time answering this because there's just so many. And basically, the composers you love are kind of like mentors for you. You learn from them, you imagine what they wanted to do with their music. So I would say Chopin's definitely one of my favorites. Not even because I love playing his music the most, which I love doing, but I would say it's because he feels closest to my heart somehow. I can identify very much with his very like lovely ways of thinking and doing music. So he would be one of my favorites. And I love Beethoven as well. He's very amazing. And Schumann, for example, as well. Schumann came from the same city, like where I live now, Düsseldorf, where we are right now.
Here we are, right?
So
Yes.
Schumann was a very, very complicated person, but I admire him and his wife, Clara Schumann,
Yes.
very much. And
Yes.
the two of them were actually always so amazing for me because they were so far ahead of their time. Clara was not the housewife or something of Schumann. She was the big pianist traveling everywhere. And Schumann was the one writing the music for them. So in that way, they were an amazing team, and I love that.
I read another question. So, where did you study?
I studied at Cologne, actually, Hochschule für Musik und Tanz Köln.
A very famous one.
Yes, that's one of the biggest one we have here in Germany,
Mhm.
actually, and it's a very beautiful conservatory. They have a lot of amazing teachers from all over the world there, and yeah, I loved studying there. I actually just finished this year. I finished with my concert exam, which is the highest degree you can receive there, and I did that in March, just maybe a few days before the lockdown happened in Germany. So I'm very lucky to get that I got my degree in time.
Mm-hmm. Another interesting question. Anke, do you write your own music? We talked about a little bit about that yesterday.
About that, yes. Because I think writing your own music, it's a beautiful thing to do, actually, really it is. And if I'm sitting alone in my chamber and I'm just playing with my piano, I do that too. But I haven't really ever played something I wrote by myself in public because I see myself as an interpreter, and I love interpreting other composers' stuff. And I just love the process of thinking what they wanted to say with those pieces. It's very much like if you would read a book or a poem and you're trying to understand the message behind it. Yeah, so actually I haven't ever really composed something and played it myself. I'm not saying that I would never do it in the future, but actually on my next CD, which will appear in December, I think, I will play pieces written by a very dear friend of mine. So I love promoting composers from our time as well.
Wonderful. So I think on that note we will end our little event here, the little event that should be a big thank you to my Zonta friends and the leaders, the top leaders that we had in this biennium. There is another biennium ahead of us very soon, since this biennium will close in a few days officially with the installation of the new board and a new nominating committee and the new governors. So it will be exciting. We will continue on our journey, and we will, of course, make good progress, I think, on the path, very difficult path to gender equality. And with moments like this one that we had with you, and with being together in such a wonderful group of women that we are all so grateful for, this will be a lot easier and it will be enjoyable as it is today. So with that, I just want to thank somebody, because all that would not have been possible without the help of Luca Miketta. Luca did the camera, and he did not only the camera, he organized this whole live stream that we were very excited about, and it worked well. So what we can see, Luca, thank you so much for your wonderful support. It was a pleasure working with you, as of course it was with Anke. So my husband didn't want to appear here, but of course he helped a lot behind the scenes, literally behind the scenes here. So thank you, Ebert, for that too. He's listening from the far end corner of the room. So with that, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for everything you have done in this biennium. And I wish you a great day, a good rest of the day or a good night. And I hope to see you all soon.